Hi everyone, I'm back in The Sims 4 and I'm doing a renovation of the hospital in Willow Creek. It's with the Get to Work pack that you get this hospital, and thank you for the suggestion in the comments to do this renovation. To get to this particular lot, it is a hidden lot, so you need to either have a Sim who's pregnant, go to hospital to have the baby and you'll come to this lot, or get your Sim to join the doctor career and then they can come to this lot. And if you want to be able to renovate the lot when you're on it, you need to enable a cheat, and it's bb.freebuild, enable free build, sorry. bb.enablefreebuild, and then you'll be able to edit the lot. So I come to this lot and I've done that. It is quite a decent size lot. It did take me a good 5 hours to renovate this in real time, so it does take a while to renovate. A couple of things I will mention early on: if you do want to use this lot, it is on my Sims 4 gallery, Simmer Hales, but when I've playtested this, and I've done this after I've uploaded it, it doesn't work having two front desks. So I've done it like it's a real hospital. So some of the things you wouldn't use in this hospital anyway, which I'll get round to, but having two front desks, it just plays havoc with the Sims coming to the lot for treatment. So you'll have some that just stand around because they're not getting seen. So I would recommend changing one of those front desks just for a normal desk with a computer. But other than that, you will be able to use the lot. But yeah, if you do want to download it, please just change one of those, because otherwise you're going to have Sims standing around one of the desks that hasn't got because the front desk, it automatically generates a Sim to check the guests in. But if you've got two desks, one of them won't have anybody there checking guests in. So yeah, I would just change one of those out and it'll just get rid of that problem. So with this renovation, I've tried to go a lot more modern. I've got rid of the curved edges. I didn't think they really suited this build, so I've gone with a lot more straight lines and a bit more modern in this build. And just to mention, I did actually film this about over a week ago, but I've been really, really poorly with some kind of cold. I'm not sure if it's been COVID or flu or what it's been, but the whole house has been ill with it. So that's why it took me a little bit longer to upload this one, because I did actually film it quite a while ago. But yeah, that's just why there's been a delay in uploading it. So we're getting kind of into the nitty-gritty of the build now. It took me such a long time just to change the outside of the building to get the shape right, how I kind of envisioned it. And then it was just getting all the rooms the right size for the equipment and things like that. And I still wanted to keep elements of the original build, so I did keep a couple of fountains out the back. Obviously they changed quite a bit in size, and eventually the back of the hospital gets like I kind of thought of it as like a quiet garden. You know, if people are ill in hospital, you've got somewhere to go and sit quietly, and that's kind of what I imagined. The emergency sign, they're just gallery pics. So I just searched for hospital in rooms and then managed to find some hospital signage, so I went with that. And then I think I download use a couple of debug cars for ambulances, although I'm sure there's CC ambulances, but I didn't want to use any CC in the build. So you could download some ambulances if you wanted to use custom content. So there is some available, but I just thought I'll go without any custom content. So I just use debug cars because it's the best we've got. It would be nice to have some ambulances and some better cars in the game, but I just went with what we've got anyway. So yeah, it does look a bit dark, and I do think I add lights soon, because it's hard to decorate without any kind of lighting. So I do add some lights as we're building, just to try and, make it easier to see what I'm doing. So this area that I'm changing at the moment, I think that becomes the children's ward, or the children's examination area. Upstairs, I do actually make it into wards, which I know the hospital isn't used for that. And as I say, if you do want to download this build, some of it is probably not ever going to be used, but I wanted to make it as close to a hospital as I imagined, So I realised some bits of the hospital wouldn't be used, but I just wanted to create it with wards. And I've done it slightly different especially to what we would have in the UK, whereas I've got one side of the hospital is kind of a bit more basic and in the wards, and then the other side I've done as if they're private wards where you can book the rooms. So I've gone a bit. We've got the paid for side and the free side. So yeah, I don't know why I did that, but I just fancied trying it. And so there's a definite distinction between the two sides of the wards as well. And then there's a couple of operating theatres upstairs as well. So we've got the accident emergency area, and then there's some examination rooms, and then there's 2 theatres as well where they do surgery. We've got 2 X-ray rooms, and we've got the wards, and like I say, a couple of surgery rooms upstairs as well. So there's plenty in this hospital, but I did have to rearrange the whole layout to get all the bits in, and also the children's A&E, I would call it, but it's just an examination room, but it's like decorated for children as well. So yeah, we've got loads of different areas of the hospital, and they're all quite distinct as well, which I think was lacking in the original build. It all looked very similar, but we just didn't have that distinction between the different areas, which you do end up with at the end of this build. So let me know in the comments what you think, and hopefully if you do download it, let me know how you get on, because as I say, I know there is a problem with the 2 front desks, but if you do change that, hopefully the rest of the build you wouldn't have any problems with. I know that was the only problem I came across when I tested it, so that would be my only recommendation. But yeah, let me know if you do use it, if you have any issues other than the front desk one that I've mentioned. But I think the rest of it was all running okay. So yeah, I think the rest would work all right. So yeah, we're just getting up to the wards and decorating the A&E now. I do create a waiting room as well for the A&E to try and make it a little bit more realistic. I don't think that area is ever used. Sometimes a sim will just sit there and talk to the person on the front desk, but other than that, it's not really used as a waiting room in the game. But I wanted to make it as lifelike as possible. So, and then I've created a little doctor's corner where they've got notes and a little computer so they can type up whatever's going on with the patients. There was some puddles and stuff that I just couldn't get rid of, but I thought, well, I suppose it adds to the realism that there's stuff going on in the hospital with these little marks on the floor. So I just left them in the end. Excuse me, sorry, I've still got a bit of a cough, but yeah, I'll try and keep the coughing to a minimum. But yeah, we're getting into some of the rooms. I didn't know whether to put 2 beds or 1. It does work with 2 actually, but sometimes you'll have the doctor talking to the patient across the 2 beds, which is a bit odd, but it does work. You can still use them with 2 beds in the room. But I kind of like the rooms with just one bed in, because another thing that would be nice to have which we just don't have anything like it in the game, is like a curtain around the beds so that you can have that privacy area. I know we've got the screens, but it's not quite the same. Like if we have the curtain around the bed, it just would make it a little bit more realistic, and still have the Sims be able to access it. It would just, yeah, I think that would be a nice addition to the game as well, to have that. But otherwise, we've got quite a bit that we can use to make the hospital look a bit more real. This is the second desk, which I would recommend changing. So I would change this one just to, you could still have the side area and then change the front desk just to a surface with a computer on. So maybe a desk, or I don't think a computer will fit on any of the surfaces, to be honest. So I think it would have to be a desk, and just change that little area for a desk and try and make it look similar. But yeah, that is the only thing I would change, just for gameplay, because it ends up too confusing otherwise. I was trying to get the arrows to make it look like it's filtering you around the hospital, but it just wasn't working because the doors wasn't in line with the arrows. So I do end up scrapping that idea. But I think in some hospitals you do like follow the certain arrows and to get to the A&E or to get to X-ray. I know it's something in our hospital that we used to have, so I was trying to get that, but it just wasn't working because you need it lined up with a grid for it to work, and the doors wasn't on the grid line exactly where the arrows would come round. So yeah, couldn't use that idea, but it was just something I was trying to do. So yeah, we're getting to the, no, we're not doing the garden yet. I think that's later on in the build. I'm just doing like a little waiting area for the X-ray rooms as well. So originally I think there was one X-ray room, but there was 2 machines in there, so I thought it would be better to have 2 different X-ray machines. Another area of the hospital I did forget about is the fitness area. So like where they can test them on the running machines and stuff. There is a couple of actual what are they called, machines from the Get to Work pack that are used for this, but I put a treadmill in there as well. So there's like 3 different running machines. And then there's a computer for the doctor to obviously monitor whatever the patient's doing. Also, yeah, I've added some mirrors as well. Tried to make it look like a fitness suite where they come in and obviously have their tests and then they can be on their way. I think that's the only bit in the hospital that I missed because that's opposite the children's area, and I had a few toilet stalls as well, just next to the fitness suite. So there's 3 toilets downstairs, and then there's 2 toilets with showers upstairs, because I was thinking like in the hospitals here, if you go to a ward, they'll have a big wet room, which is like a shower room with a toilet and sink. So I was trying to go with that kind of feeling for the upstairs, like the people on the wards have got access to a toilet and a shower. So yeah, but in the private side of the hospital, they have their own individual shower rooms. So there is a distinct difference between the general ward and the private ward. I don't really know why I went down that route, but it's done. So that's the route that I took. I think we're nearly up to the decorating of the children's ward now. So yeah, it's nice when you can kind of start to see things coming together. I felt with this build, I took so long removing things. It took a long time to start seeing how I imagined the build. So this one, yeah, it was a bit of a... It just seemed to take a long time to get to where I want, or where I was imagining the builds to look at the end. But yeah, it did get there. It just took me a while to get there. these cuttings, really, I could have done with the building being pushed out an extra tile, but I'd already created these cuttings and I liked the way they look from the outside, so in the end I kept them in. But for space wise, I could have done with the extra tile, really, but it's just a design choice, and something that I wish I could have had that extra tile space sometimes. But it's just, I think when you've made that style choice, you decide to stick with it. You've either got to compromise the outside of the style or go for the space on the inside. But I really liked the look of the hospital from the outside, so I wanted to keep that. We're finally getting on to the little children's ward. I did keep some of the bright colours from the original room, and that was it. The original room was what gave me the inspiration for it, to be honest. I know I'm chopping backwards and forwards. I can only apologise. I know it's a bit frustrating when you're following a build and it's chopping and changing. I think it was because I was getting there was a lot I wanted to keep changing in the A&E bit, so that's why I kept going back to it. I can only apologise, because there's no flow, obviously, if you're chopping and changing. But yeah, I did try and follow some kind of pattern, but yeah, I kept getting distracted and going back to the A&E for some reason. But the children's ward, there was originally a children's ward, and I think that's what made me stick with the children's theme. But I wanted it to be like a children's accident and emergency room. So they've got their own little examination beds, and then there's some toys in a little children's sensory garden at the back. So but they've definitely got their own little hospital area, which is nice for the sim children. I think they use the main A&E as well, but I have seen children use this bit, so it's kind of nice having that little distinct area for them. Like I said, I can't leave this A&E alone, can I? I keep coming back to it. I don't even know why. I just couldn't leave it alone. I was never happy with it, and then I just had to keep coming back to it, and then going back to the children's bit, coming back. Yeah, I was like a bloody yo-yo with this one. I don't know what it was. I really, really wanted these arrows to work, and they just didn't. It's just one of those things. I tried loads of different techniques to get it so, like, follow this way for the x-ray, but no, it just wasn't working. So I had to abandon that idea. But I did try. So, yeah, I do put a little cafe area, because I don't know what the hospital's like everywhere else, but I know in the hospitals here, you do use to have a little canteen where staff and patients can go. So that's what I created at the front of the hospital, to use this big kind of open reception area. I thought I may as well use the space and make a little cafe area as well. And especially if you're having one of your sims as a doctor career, they've got somewhere where they can go and get something to eat as well while they're at work, to keep their food needs up. Obviously there's vending machines as well, but this area is kind of a nice little addition as well, and something that you would see in hospitals, especially in the UK anyway. So I just thought it was a better use of the space, rather than what it was a bit stark before. Although a lot of this space I do keep as it was originally, like the backdrop I kept the same behind the reception desk. So some things I did keep the same, and then other things are just an addition to it. The x-ray room, I did put some signs, like I wanted it to look like when you've got the warning signs near an x-ray. But I do change them because I think we have something a little bit more similar in the game. And I think it's from, what's the pack? The Crazy World. I can't remember the name of it. I'm still not completely well, but it'll come to me anyway. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, I do try and get signs that look like they belong in a hospital. And yeah, I've got as near as I can with it, with what we've got in the game. And I just didn't want to download CC for it. I mean, I've used so many of these eye test charts everywhere. I wish we had a few more different signs. I think I've actually used a couple of the for rent signs because they're in like green and yellow, so it looks like hospital signage, even though it's a for rent sign. But yeah, it would be nice to have some more like medical type signs so that you could decorate the hospital a bit more with with different medical posters or whatever. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a few more things like that. So the children's ward's coming together nicely. We've got a little seating area, a waiting area for the medical beds. I do change this back area just to have a little sensory garden for the children as well. And I just think that finishes that whole area off nicely. You've got some play equipment for them and just somewhere for them to go and sit outside. I just thought it was a nice little area for kids. And yeah, and that's it really. I put a couple of chairs there. It's very basic, that area, but I just thought it was a nice little finishing touch for the kids A&E department. And it's definitely very bright. But also these little decals on the window, I thought that gave a bit of privacy to the kids A&E as well. So another reason to use them. The flooring was crazy on this lot. Like there was flooring under flooring. It was just really strange. So that was why I deleted the flooring in this room and just redid it, because I'm not sure what was going on with it. It was really weird. And rooms just, they weren't seen as a room. It was all split into different bits. So yeah. So the posters I ended up adding outside the X-ray were from Strangerville, and they've got quite a few different ones that are quite suitable. They look like lightning or toxic kind of signs, so they work really well for there. So yeah, it was the Strangerville pack that I ended up using them from. And there was a couple of that one with the doctors on. I think I used that in a couple of different places just because it suited the hospital quite well. And then just some sciencey type looking ones just to fill in anything that could be. I was trying to look for anything that could look hospital related. Found this fitness one that I thought suited the little fitness suite. I just thought health and something like that would work for there. So yeah, we've definitely got the areas definitely look different as you go around the hospital. So they've definitely got their set areas. You can see them toxic posters as well there. And these are the hospital toilets, so any of the visitors can use this. And there's one with a baby changing bit as well. So if any toddlers need to be brought to the hospital, there is a place to change them. I don't know if the toddlers ever do use the hospital. Probably not, but anyway, they're thought about. they are thought about. So there is an area for them as well. And again, just using some more signage to make the hospital accessible. Fanless the upstairs bit, and like I say, you might want to skip this bit. You probably would never use this bit in gameplay, but it's just to make the hospital seem a little bit more realistic, having these wards where guess if they get admitted to hospital, there is somewhere for them. So this is the standard wards. One looks like it's a bit nicer, one side, but I do actually change this side of the ward anyway, so this bit doesn't stay as it is now. And then the other side is, you've got a ward where they've got a little bit of access to the outside area as well. So that's probably quite a nice ward to be on. And then there's like a central area where there's a doctor to check people into the wards, and a little seating area as well. So yeah, I've tried to think about it as it would be. But this ward I do actually end up changing, but off camera, to a maternity ward. So there's just a picture here, and it just shows you the final layout of that ward. But I didn't add any bassinets in originally, so I thought I'll add some bassinets, so if your sim has a baby, there's a little maternity ward there where they can be kept. So that's why that was added. Although you might want to move some of them bassinets into the surgery rooms. Maybe the 2 upstairs surgery rooms could have the bassinets, and then, yeah, they're the delivery suites, I suppose. So it's something to think about if you are going to download it. As I said, I was building it for so long, and then things came to me later on, and yeah, I maybe should have done that earlier. This bigger space here in the middle of the upstairs, that ends up becoming the other 2 surgery rooms. To get the surgery tables, you do actually have to put in the hidden objects cheat and the live edit objects. I'm not sure if they come up with just the hidden objects, but if I'm using that cheat, I generally put both in. So it's bb.show hidden objects and bb.show live edit objects as well. So if you use those cheats, you'll be able to get the surgery tables, and also what I think the examination beds as well. I think you need those cheats in for both of those. So yeah, if you do want to redesign this hospital, get those cheats in, and you'll be able to add more surgery beds. So yeah, I didn't realise they just don't show up when you're decorating until you've got those cheats in. And like I said, this is the more private side of the hospital, so your Sims would probably have to pay to use this area. They've got their own bathrooms or shower rooms. They get a bowl of fruit. They've got double beds instead of a single bed, and a little visiting, nice comfy chairs for the visitors. So it's definitely the more well looked after. Yeah, they've got the things. Yeah, they're treated at this side of the hospital. So I think if you wanted to stay here, you'd want to stay at this side, not the other side. So yeah, this is it's a contrast. I think that's what I was going for, a contrast between the 2 sides of the hospital. And so, and I've never stayed in a hospital that's got a room like this, but when I had my children, I was definitely in the more standard ward. Apart from when I had one of them, because one of my other children had chicken pox when I went to have my 3rd child, and so I got put in a separate room, which was really nice. So I did have my own bathroom then. But that was just circumstances, because my daughter had chicken pox at the time, so I had to be kept separate. I didn't mind, actually. It was really nice. It was really nice to have my own room. So, but other than that, I've always been on a ward when I've had my children. So yeah, it's all coming together. The build, the rooms are getting there. The surgery rooms upstairs, I do add a couple of like little decorations. It's a little bit more fancy than the downstairs one, I think. The downstairs surgery room, but maybe it's just more prepared for the babies and stuff. But like I said, I haven't added bassinets in here, but I think maybe if you're going to use it as a proper hospital for Sims giving birth, then you could just add some in these upstairs surgery rooms. I mean, you could add them in all of them, I suppose, but the ones downstairs I think are a little bit smaller, so obviously that's a consideration as well, because it depends how much room there is. Obviously you need the Sims to be able to access the beds, the doctors to be able to access the beds as well. So yeah, it's up to you, however you want to use it. I don't mind. It's just nice if people do use it. So yeah, the these are just the 2 wet rooms. So they've got a shower for Sims who need to stay in the hospital, and then they've got just a usual toilet and sink, and a shower. I think I had some storage of towels on the outside of the rooms, just so doctors could maybe give them to the patients as they need to use the wet rooms. So just little details like that to make it seem a little bit more realistic. And then I've added plenty of like spare medical equipment for the wards and for so there's spare medical equipment where the doctors sit and stuff, so they can just wheel it through to the beds that they need. I always think I probably overthink all these different options too much, but I do try and make it a little bit realistic. And this is the little quiet sanctuary garden type area, just where Sims can go and reflect, or if they've had bad news or anything like that, they can go and sit in their little garden. So we're kind of at this stage of the build now where it's just adding like the finishing touches. I think you might have just seen there was where I added the for rent posters. I know that's not what they're for, but I was just trying to get items that would match the hospital look, and the colours of the for rent posters just seem to match the feel of the hospital and things that I needed, so that's why I went with them. The garden is probably my favourite bit of this build. I think it adds like a nice little touch for Sims who need to go to hospital. So they've got this not too manicured. It's been left to look natural, or hopefully it looks quite natural. Some of it's a little bit overgrown, and some of it, it looks tidy but natural, like having the weeds in the pond or the fountain. I just think things like that make it look a bit more natural. So I think this area looks really nice, especially when it's on the night and the lights are all on. It looks really pretty, this area. So not sure how much it'd get used by Sims if they're visiting here, but it's a nice little touch to the hospital. I think I went a bit too crazy with the plants there. I was trying to add too many in, so I had to dial it down a bit. But just adding a little bit of darkness to the edge of the path as well. I think it makes them look blended in to the ground as well. So like the path's got the worn edges. I do like that look. So just a nice little, there's nothing really activity wise there, but I just think it adds like a nice little area to the hospital. And then at the front, I do add a fountain at the front of the hospital as well. It's around this sign that came with the hospital. So it's just another little addition to the visual of the front of the hospital. Weirdly enough, I think when you add this to the gallery, the back is the front of the hospital. I'm pretty sure. So this garden, I think, looks like the front of the hospital on the gallery. So if you do look for it and it doesn't look the same, I'm pretty sure, because I was a little bit like, that doesn't look quite right when I was adding it to the gallery. But I didn't flip it around or anything, because I kept it the way it was originally when I downloaded, when I went to the lot, basically. So I haven't changed it, but if it does look back to front, that's just the way it shows on the gallery. So I don't know. Just one of those things. So anyway, we're nearly at the end. Like I say, if you do want to download it, it is available on the gallery, Sim Hills. And if you do like this build, please give it a like, a thumbs up. Subscribe if you don't want to miss any more videos. And I've got some more coming. I have actually filmed a couple of more renovations which I've got coming up. I decided I wanted to do the goth house, so I I basically looked up some Gothic mansions and went off kind of a guide picture that I just found on Google, just to create a build. So they've got a new house which I will get uploaded soon. I'm trying to think. Oh, I've also done which build did I do in Willow Creek? The gym. I've done the gym in Willow Creek, so I've renovated that, so I've got that coming up as well. So yeah, even though I've been not very well, I've done a few renovations which I will get edited and uploaded as soon as I can, really. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. I know it's been a bit of a longer one, this one, because it is quite a large building, so it did take me a while, but I hope you do like the final build. Like I say, that if you do want to use it, just bear in mind that front desk issue and get that changed. But other than that, I think it all works as it should. So yeah, take care everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good week. Bye.